Hello and welcome back to the Villa View, and it is time for another phone-in after the Newcastle United game. It is Wednesday, a few days have passed, so let's see what the fans are saying a few days later.
Question is, if we lose to Derby and Bristol City, do you think Steve Bruce will be sacked?
It's a good question, Tom. I think that at the moment it does seem like we're going to stick with him to the end of the season minimum at the moment. I think we're in a really difficult position right now, and I don't know if changing the manager is the right move. I don't know what you think, Tom, but for me, I don't think it's a good idea to be sacking Steve Bruce. I think we do need stability, and I do think that it would be right to sort of try and keep him, in fairness, to the end of the season. What do you think?
Well, I think that he was good at first, but then he just ended up being bad because we had a few losses with him. So I like him, and I hope he stays, but it's just a hard decision.
Who would you have in as manager if we did sack him in 2 games?
Well, I would like...
Say who you want, it's all right.
I'd like... Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, it's a guaranteed one, that.
That's a dream. I'd love that dream. I'd dream of having Jose Mourinho. But I think with Bruce, I think we have to stick by him. I think the fans need to be cheering on Saturday. And I'm sure you agree, as you do always, about cheering. And then again on Tuesday night against Bristol, we need to support the manager. We need to support the players as well. We need to be cheering them. We need to be clapping them. We need to get behind them, because it isn't going to help if we do get on their backs. And to be honest, I can't see Bruce leaving. We've already had 2 managers this season. So fingers crossed we can get a result in the next 2 games and we can go from there.
Tend to agree with you, Max. I mean, the back end of the Ipswich game, it was starting to get a little bit like last season in the ground, everyone getting on the backs, sort of atmosphere's changing, people leaving 15 minutes before the end of the game. And I think the key issue is, as I put on Twitter earlier on, the next 3 games could define our season, where it goes. I think 3 wins would give us the breathing space that we need. Then Bruce can then really dive into next season. But 3 losses, do we stick with him? I can't see us losing to Rotherham. I can't see us losing to Bristol City neither. But Derby's going to be a big test, not only for the fans, but for the players, obviously, as well. Because we, as I said, everyone needs to be on the same hymn sheet for a change. So fingers crossed.
And I understand the fans' frustration as well, but I can understand Tom's point that could he be sacked. I can't see us sacking another manager this season. I just think it'd be the wrong move, especially at this time of the season when it's the business end, so to speak. Chopping the manager rarely goes right at this time of the year. Thank you for your call, Rich and Tom.
See you later.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers, Tom. Good evening, Max. What did you want to talk about this evening?
Let's talk about Steve Bruce. Let's talk about him, and let's talk about the shortage of players we've got up front, because that quite worries me. Like I said in the fan cam about Steve Bruce, with people outing him, I just want to expand on what I said. I can understand. Don't get me wrong. After the season we've had, I can see frustrations will be high, tempers will be high, but I want to discuss who could get in differently, and I know we discussed it. I know I said Rowett, but I saw something on Twitter, someone said it, I can't remember who, and they said, if we haven't got a solution to the problem, why would we make a problem even worse right now in outing Steve Bruce? I mean, personally, I think he's got the tools there for what he needs. You can tell he's passionate about trying to get us back up. He's not like one of these Di Matteos who kind of look for an excuse every weekend. I'm starting to get this bit sick of in these press conferences. The fans were great, the fans were this, the fans were that. Yeah, the fans will always be there, the fans will be great, but if you stop putting the performances on the pitch, they won't always be there. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about.
I don't think the Newcastle game was ever going to be when that was a free hit for me in the end of the day anyway. So to me, we're at no different position to after losing to Ipswich last week. So for me, we've got to give them the next few games. We've obviously got Derby, Bristol and Rotherham. I think we need a minimum of 6 points, and then we can look to push on and move on from things. But if not, I'm seriously concerned. This
with Hogan and Codger now is worrying me. You know, we're in a situation now where Hepburn Murphy's our only available striker, and with a club our size, that shouldn't be happening. I mean, who else are we going to put up front with him unless we take a shot at Adoma? I mean, this is going back to it why I didn't think Ayew should have been sold. I mean, selling Ayew for a left back, in 5 million is ludicrous. I mean, if we did get Barrow in as part of that deal, we probably would have been better off. I mean, I just can't see who's going to score our goals the next 2 games. If Codger's injury wasn't as bad as it thought because he was holding his side, Hogan looks like it's just some ligament damage. We might be all right, but I think we're in serious trouble. We've got a midfield that can get forward and score goals, but it seems like he's playing them too negatively or out of position. I mean, that is probably the best midfield, probably bar Newcastle's, with Shelby and all that, in the league, and they just look like the three blokes who just dragged off the street and said, here you go, here's a Villa shirt, go and play for us on a Saturday. That's what they're looking like at the moment. I mean, Lansbury, I've backed him since he's joined. He's probably the only one who's looked like he's worth anything at the moment. Hurahan, I've been disappointed with, but I'm not one to go and slag off players or try and centre players, because obviously it's early days. But I think if they don't gel within about a month and a half, there needs to be serious questions asked. It's probably up Bruce and the coaching staff as well. There needs to be questions asked why he's not playing him in the correct positions. I mean, playing a left-footed midfielder on the right, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. It's not right. But yeah, let's come back to it. I think the next 4 or 5 games is crucial for us, because at the moment, like I said, I'm scared. I don't want to be going to somewhere like Port Vale next season. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'd rather stay and be going to Huddersfield every week than Port Vale, but that's the way it goes.
Cheers for joining us this evening, Max.
No worries. Have a good one.
So, another caller is Lewis. Lewis, what did you want to say this evening?
Well, I'd just like to say I think Bruce is on borrowed time now. I can't see him lasting long, especially with, it looks like we're getting Chris Samba in. I just can't imagine a defence with Tommy Elphick, Chris Samba and Micah Richards, which seems very possible.
I haven't really looked at it that way, actually. What do you make of the whole Chris Samba rumour?
Well, I hope it's not true. To be honest, he's just never done well at any club as far as I know. He's an utter mercenary at QPR, and I just don't think we need another one to go along with the likes of Richards and Gabby.
What time do you reckon Bruce has got currently when it comes to borrowed time? How are you defining borrowed time right now?
Well, he's been given the dreaded his job's safe, as he said, which seems whenever a manager gets told that, he's sacked within a month. And with the way we've been playing, the results we've been getting, and now Hogan and Codger both out, we won't be scoring goals like we were anyway.
Would you go 4-3-3 or would you go back to 4-4-2?
I think 4-3-3 can work with Jedinak. But considering how long he was out for, and did he play 90 minutes against Newcastle? I think he did. Maybe give him a bit of a rest, put him on the bench, start 4-4-2, maybe change it about an hour, 70 minutes, bring him on.
I think we look more composed with Jedinak in our side. I think that with Jedinak in our side, we look a lot stronger, a lot better defensively and going forward. Matt Kendrick from the Birmingham Mail referred him to as being a classic car, though. You have to treat it with a lot of respect in terms of the time you have to give it and so on and so forth. And that's the same with Jedinak. He needs time to recover. So perhaps you've got a point there, but I think we need him more for Bristol City and Rotherham than we do on Saturday. So it could be an idea to rest him. But thank you for your call this evening.
Cheers.
Good evening, Lee. What is it you wanted to discuss this evening?
Basically, the atmosphere down at Villa Park, it is starting to turn. It's got bad the last 2 games, especially when we lost at home, and especially when we lost to Barnsley. People are just turning on the players left, right, and centre.
I think we need to get behind them more than ever right now. We saw last season when it turned toxic, it didn't help the situation at all. And the last thing we need to be doing is not getting behind these players. We need to be behind them.
Because let's face it, Bruce isn't going anywhere right now. We need stability. If you want stability, you need to have the fans behind the team as well. I think if Villa Park is roaring with 35,000 or how many is in the ground, it helps massively. It changes the momentum of the game. We've seen when away fans do it. We've seen where our own away fans do it. It changes the momentum of the game. And I think Derby County, Bristol City, those 2 games, if we can get behind the lads, I think it can help 10 times, especially when confidence is so low at the moment.
Even if we go 1-0 down, we know we're going to get heckling people that just go, oh, here we go again. It goes into a toxic atmosphere. We come out of the game, we've probably lost it 1-2-0, something like that, and then we come onto the fan cams, and then just everybody will want Steve Bruce out again, and we don't want that. We get all this negativity out of this season, get all the nicks, get all the positive, get all the get the away form sorted out, get the home form, get the performances right, and then next season get everything right, because next season is the gamble for it.
Hopefully the fans can get behind the team because they deserve it. And I understand why fans are frustrated. They're paying all this money and getting very little for it, but I do think they must back that side. Cheers for coming on this evening, Lee.
No worries, boys. See you all on Saturday.
Good evening, Adam. What is it you wanted to discuss with us this evening?
I suppose I should start by saying that I think that we've got some of the best fans in the world. For them to stick around with us, considering we've been through 6 years of neglect as a club, is amazing. But at the Barnsley game, just within a few minutes, within the opening exchanges, the ball broke to Sam Johnston, and he came out and he claimed it. And it was a totally innocuous moment, absolutely nothing you'd normally pay attention to. But there was but there was jeering from the home support, a sort of a way like sarcasm that he'd got the ball. And it's the same with Grealish. When he came off during that game, he was booed and jeered, and I just don't understand how they think that can be helping anything. And I understand the frustration and everything. That's obviously losing 3-1 at home to Barnsley is terrible, but singling out players during the game whilst the match is still going on for booing them and abusing them, I just don't understand it. Booing at full time or half time if it's bad enough is understandable, especially when you lose 3-1 at home to Barnsley. But to start abusing your own players when they're only crying is being out of form and being low on confidence, which is what they obviously are. It just seems ridiculous and totally detrimental to what we need to be doing right now, which is sticking by the team. And even though results have been terrible, performances probably worse, I don't know what people expect. To have a turnover of players over the course of 7 or 8 months, 2 transfer windows, is it's extraordinary when you think about it. And obviously you don't expect to lose at home to Ipswich, Barnsley. That's not good enough. But at the same time, I don't know how people can expect us to suddenly hit stride. And I'm not excusing the team and blaming fans for our poor form in any way, shape or form. But I just don't understand it.
No, I agree with you. I pointed out in the fan cams actually after the Barnsley game, I don't think the ironic cheers are on one bit. I hate them. The one for Sam Johnston when he picked up the ball was awful. He did that. That happened a few times actually when he made a save as well, when he pushed it around the post. And then for Grealish to come off to that is abhorrent, to be honest. To listen to that, I cringed at it because it isn't what's needed right now. It doesn't help anyone, in fairness. It doesn't help the players' confidence. It doesn't help a relationship being built between fans and the players. And it certainly doesn't help the players that are left on the pitch. I understand people are paying their money and they've got every right to boo at half-time and at full-time. I've got no issue with that whatsoever. But ironically, cheering players is detrimental to confidence, detrimental performance, and it just doesn't help things. And I'm hopeful that against Derby, some common sense might come in. God forbid that happening, but a bit of common sense might come through and we might see a bit more positivity around the place. It's hard to ask for, given the recent result, because we're all downbeaten. We're all fed up at the moment, but we need to get behind them. The football isn't pretty, but if we get behind them, the tides can turn quite quickly, I think. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, obviously, I don't expect fans to be singing and dancing down the aisles that we're losing 3-1 at home to Barnsley, but at the same time, I don't think dishing out abuse to individual players during the match is ever going to help anyone.
I agree. Thank you for coming on this evening, Adam. Very good points, and I agree very much so what you said. Cheers for that.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Good evening, John. You're the final caller this evening. What is it you wanted to talk about?
The thing for me is that watching them on TV, watching them in the game, there never seems to be any threat. It doesn't look like when going forward. You expect a goal. You expect every sort of attack to peter out into nothing. You expect the defence to clear it up, and then us to be on the back foot again. At home and away now. Samba training with us is scary. That's an option, that we're looking down that route.
But it's worrying that we've had to look at this free transfer market. Why is that the case? The January transfer window finished, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? We shouldn't be looking at this stage to be bringing someone like Chris Samba in, who's fouled at Anzi and he's fouled at Spartak and did a horrid job at QPR. He's been described as a mercenary, and he sort of is. The last time he had a decent season was at Blackburn.
I mean, if we are looking at that, it shows a real lack of foresight on Bruce. He's had his transfer window. It's not like he's taking over someone else's team. And it's worrying that if within 2 weeks he's already out of ideas and we're having to look into the transfer window that he hasn't built the squad necessarily when given a full window for it. He is a foul centre-back. He's not someone that's sort of in demand.
What do you see going forwards in terms of this side? Because Hutton's obviously going to be playing at right back. And to me, bringing Chris Samba in, any competition is supposedly healthy competition, but in this state, I don't believe it is, especially when Steve Bruce has hinted at as soon as Mick Richards is fit, he's one of the first names on the team sheet.
I think it comes down to the fact that Bruce still hasn't figured out a formation that he's going to play. And that's obviously going to have a negative effect. If he doesn't know he's confident in a formation, he keeps changing it with a 5 at the back, 4 at the back, then how are they working on in training? Surely it's becoming a waste of time in training if they're having to work on 2, 3 or 4 different tactical setups. He has to figure out his best tactical setup. We know we're going nowhere near promotion now, and he just has to try and settle the side and settle us ready for next year's push. We've accepted that there's no way going forward this year. So he just has to settle the side, pick a formation he's happy with and work on it in training, rather than having what seems two or three different options of formations. The players aren't going to know where their positions are. They're not going to really understand what they're doing.
Thank you for coming on this evening to discuss your points, John.
No worries, Matt. Thanks for having us.
So if you have enjoyed this video, then please do make sure you are smashing that like button below. Let's try and hit 250 likes in this video. It helps us 10 times more than you would ever think. And also make sure you are commenting your views on what the fans have been thinking this evening. Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? Let us know in the comments. We're going to try and reply to as many of you as we can. And finally, make sure you are checking out next week on the Villa View. Our website is inching ever closer. The bugs have been ironed out at the moment, and it's going to be launched at the same time as the first bit of that Ian Taylor interview. That's all to come, so make sure you are subscribing to the Villa View if you are new to the channel. If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another one? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. And don't forget to subscribe. Click on our logo there on the left and press subscribe. Easy.